Bases loaded, and Pagliarulo hits it high and deep to right, way back, grand slam. We're going home. The Yankees win it, 11-7.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rooster Crows podcast. I'm Rob Deere, and today I have a very, very special guest, a good friend, a great player. Welcome, Mike Pagliarulo, Yankee third baseman, World Series winner. It's a real honor to have you here, and I want to say thanks. Welcome.
That's my pleasure. Anything for you, Rob. It's good though. I'm glad.
Tell us where you just got back from.
I was playing golf, okay, and I'm not a great golfer, but I swing hard in case I hit it. So, but it was a lot of fun. I have a good time. I've never had a bad day on a golf course.
No, it's always fun. And
Yeah.
you guys, you're in Florida, so you guys have golf courses all over, just like we do.
Yeah, I'm from Massachusetts, and I just get tired of that ice and snow and everything. And then, like 3 years ago, I moved down here permanently, and now it's good. I mean, I had a place in Naples before, but now I'm in Jupiter, Florida, and I love it. It's great.
Good. So we talked a couple days ago about our grandkids, and everything is going good with that. Everything is going good with mine. They're a lot of fun. What do you have going on now? What are you up to?
Well, I just get back also from my my granddaughter's christening, and name actually they're up in Long Island, so I didn't stay there too long. But her name Victoria Isabella Pagliarulo, VIP. We call her. She's the VIP of the family now. So
Yeah.
it was
It's
pretty
amazing
cool.
how that happens.
Even though it makes you feel a lot older being a grandparent, it's really refreshing, and you look at your kids differently, and your
Right?
granddaughter, it means your
The
blood,
greatest.
right?
Yeah.
So and she's in New York, so that's great. So I get a chance to go back there and see some old friends as well. So it's a good situation.
Good.
So,
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's amazing what grandkids will do. Everybody kept telling me, Rooster, wait till your grandkids are born. And it's just like, I spent last weekend with two of my younger grandsons, Zeke and Asher, and my dad and I took them fishing for the first time while their mom and dad were at the Phoenix Open. So it worked out perfect. And we just, we dote over our grandkids. They're so much fun.
well, I can't wait till mine starts walking, and she'll be walking soon. I can go kidnap her and just
Yeah.
take. See, that's what my uncles used to do to me. They used to take me out of elementary school. They were in the
Yeah.
6th grade at lunchtime, and my uncle would show up on his motorcycle and say, Mike needs to be excused from school today. And they said, what? And I didn't know what was going on. And he goes, come on, here, I got a helmet for you. Put a helmet on. I get in the back of his motorcycle and drive by my house. Say goodbye to your mother. Say,
Yeah.
Ma, I'm going.
Yeah.
Tim, bring her back. My uncle would take him on his motorcycle. So that happened a few times. So I guess I'll have to kidnap my granddaughter same way.
There you go. I'm sure she won't mind. So what are you doing now? Are you, like the last time we talked, I think you were doing some scouting stuff. When I saw you in Florida a couple years ago for spring training, you had been doing some stuff with what club?
The Nationals. I was a
Right.
special assistant, with the Nationals, and then they decided to sell the team, so they had to cut down a bunch of positions in the organization after they made the Soto trade, and so my position was one of the positions. They cut up a bunch of scouting and even player development guys, which they felt kind of bad because Nationals are a really good organization, and
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and I like working for Mike Rizzo, and they had a bunch of people that are good people there.
Yeah, you've always said that.
Yeah, and so now it's more like I connected with this group of guys. They work used to be doing some healthcare analytics, and they want to get into the sports industry. So that they were talking to me. We talked over the last year or so, and they used my model for hitting and another one for pitching, and we're working on one for defense. We're trying to translate the analytics stuff into baseball language because every team uses analytics, but in my opinion, they don't use it enough. They don't get the most out of it, and a lot of the players get confused, and they'll force this stuff, and they look at it in these percentages and probabilities and all this other stuff. They don't want to hear that. They want to talk about hitting or pitching or how to get guys out. How to get hits, how to survive when you're not doing so good. So basically, it's translating all that stuff, and then we're trying to work with an organization or even some players now that it will help them, help them decipher all that stuff and get that out of your way, because you can't have all that information in your head when you go to the plate,
Absolutely not.
you have one thought you got to have, right? And so whatever that thought is, it's got to be right. And so,
What was your thought?
my thought, well, my first thought was, it was different at times, but mine was get a fastball,
Yeah.
and get out in front,
Yeah.
so I could pull.
Mine was like I ask people that. Mine was I simply want to hit a ball hard somewhere. I don't care if it's down the right field line, down the left field line, wherever it is. I just want to hit a ball hard somewhere.
Yeah.
That was, and a lot
And
of
my
times
best,
I missed them, but every once in a while I hit one pretty hard.
my best at bats were when I try to hit it right back at the pitcher. That's when I
Yeah.
pull the ball better and even hit the ball the other way some. So, those are my best at bats. And trying to coach that nowadays is not easy because everybody wants to get up there and pull the ball,
Yeah.
And I said, man, it's not that easy to just get up there and pull,
Yeah. When you talk about a complete hitter, when you talk about a Manny or a, these guys that are hitting, they're hitting 310, 300, and they're driving in 120 runs. And like, you can't be a one-dimensional player like I was. You have to be able to use the whole field. And it's trying to get to be a complete hitter that I think people get too caught up in home run hitters and trying to hit guys hitting home runs instead of learning how to play the game correctly and have good at bats and learn how to properly hit. That's the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's a process, it's a process. I mean, guys want to come up and they want to start hitting home runs early. That's not an easy thing to do. I mean, look at the guys like Donnie Mattingly. He never hit home runs in the minors. Never.
really,
And he never really did. I think it was always single digit numbers. And then, we were fortunate that we had some great coaches there. And Lou Pinello was the best hitting coach ever. And, he taught us more about how to use your body and get position to hit, which that never made sense to me, and I'm like, what the heck's he talking about?
right?
And and then after a while, I kind of learned it, and it made sense after a while because I kept swinging over that breaking ball. But Donnie, he get back and he was able to always hit the ball the other way, and now he was able to drive the ball because he used his legs better and he was in a better position to hit, and he struck out less. And but he didn't struck out much anyways. But he was a
Right.
clutch hitter, and he was one of those guys that like Manny could keep that inside ball fair. He'd throw that ball in there. He wouldn't hook it foul. He'd keep it fair all the time, and he
Yeah.
was just a tough out.
Yeah. But you and Mattingly in Yankee Stadium had me running for days. Every time we went in there, nobody ever hit a ball to left field or to center field. It was like you guys were always picking on me down right field line and off the walls. It was you and Mattingly, and it was like, it was unbelievable. And then like you guys would come into Milwaukee and the same thing would happen. And it's just like, I remember you guys, Mattingly was different because he did go the other way a little bit more, but you were more, pull, and you had me chasing balls all over Yankee Stadium.
That was a good park. It was a nice ballpark to hit in. It was a great stadium, and I'd never been there. And when I got called up, it was the first time I saw it. I couldn't believe how big it was.
Oh,
And even though I was only 3.5 hours. I grew up 3.5 hours from there. I was, I'd never been to Yankee Stadium, and they wanted me to just stay left-handed and pull the ball, and that's what we did. In the minors, in college, I was a switch hitter. High school, college, and then 3 years at Miami, and then 1 year in pro ball, and then I got to spring training, my first spring training, and I was there in a cage early, and all of a sudden Joe Pepitone shows up at 7. I think he was just coming in that morning, and he said what are you doing down here, kid? I said hey Pepe, and I had known him from the summer league that we played in up in Oneonta. So I said, hey Pepe, let me ask you something. I said, all these guys ahead of me, they're all the MVPs of the league or they're all stars. I said, how do I get over those guys? And he said, you ever see Yankee Stadium before? I said, no. He goes, listen, they're all right-handed hitters. He goes, stay left-handed. I'll show you how to pull the ball the right way. He goes, and then you show
yep.
power. He goes, you have some power. He goes, you jump over all of them. And that's exactly what happened. He gave me a plan. And so that's what I did. And I learned from him. And I was fortunate because in that organization, we had a major league coach, a major league former player at every level. So, and there were 7 levels. And we were lucky.
Tell the viewers who you replaced at third base.
Replacing Nettles wasn't the easiest thing in the world.
Right.
Even though he's the greatest guy, he really is, and he was very good to me. And you boot one ball, or it comes off your glove or your chest, and boo, bring back Nettles, every single time.
Yeah.
But after a while, I started making some plays and hitting some balls. So
I say this all the time. I think I told Danny Gladden this because all three of us are real close. But I said he kind of, Pags always reminded me of Camanetti in a way. Cammy was a switch hitter, but you guys, like, it was a vacuum at third base. And the plays I used to see you make, like, I'd hit one hoppers or hit a ball that I know that's going to be a double down the left field line. No chance. And you used to rob me all the time. But, I appreciate a good player. And it was fun because your power and your glove were obvious. But I admired you for a long time for the fact of how you played. And you played the game correctly. And I admire that,
You know, I was fortunate too. I mean, I went to school. I went to school in Miami, and I like those coaches because they didn't try to teach us anything that they didn't know. So we played the Orioles once a year, and so the coach comes up, my head coach, Ron Frazier, the late Ron Frazier. He said, "Hey, Pags, come here." He said, "I know you're having trouble with that bunt play. Go talk to that guy over there." The day we played the Orioles, and I went over and I said, "Mr. Robinson, how you doing? My name's Mike Brooks Robinson." He taught me in 1 minute how to make the bunt play and how to practice it. And then I get to the Yankees, and I had Clete Boyer. Clete Boyer is the coach. So I mean,
Yeah.
two of the, and then Nettles and he helped me out a ton.
Yeah.
And we realized that everyone had some different styles, but it's an aggressive position, which I liked. And you when you're on defense, you got to attack almost. You got to wait for the ball, but you got to anticipate the ball coming to you. And so, and you have to have communication with the shortstop and the outfielders. One thing I can't understand today is when they give these guys the cards and it tells them where to play. My manager would just say, "Look, just take away the bunt on this guy. I don't care what you do, just take away the bunt." I said, "All
Yeah.
right," and then just make sure there's no doubles down the line in this situation. And so I play where I want to play, where I know that he could hit it, because I could see when the hitter's when he's trying to pull the
Absolutely.
ball, or he's pulling off, or he's trying to move the ball the other way. You could see that when you're on the field. So if I had a card to say where I'm going to play, I'd just get rid of that card. That doesn't tell me. They can't tell me how that guy's going to do because he
No.
changes. I mean, Robin Young's going to hit one down the line, or he might just shoot one the other way with a man on second base. So
Yep.
I got to get off the line, and so there's different ways and different places you have to play based on the hitter who's up there. And it's
Right.
not just that; the situation determines that also.
Let
So
me ask you this, and I talk about hitting and stuff, and I'm anticipating. I want to hit a pitch that I want to hit, so I'm anticipating a strike right down the middle. So I'm thinking hit, 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 and if it's not in that area, I'm taking it. Does the same thing play to players? Say if you're a third baseman in Yankee Stadium, are you anticipating every pitch that you're going to get a ball hit to you?
a ball hit to me. Yeah, I mean, I always you kind of look at the hitter, and certain guys they can bunt real good. So Billy Martin and Lou and even Yogi, they didn't want guys bunting certain guys because we had guys on the mound. Tommy John, he didn't get off the mound as well, or Dennis Rasmussen, and so I had to make sure I covered all that ground. So I had to play in
Yeah,
on
all
some
the
guys,
things.
but I always anticipated the ball coming at me, no matter
Yeah.
what.
I
You
mean,
know.
I hear coaches, and we always talk about that to young players. Anticipate that ball's going to be hit to you every time, outfield, whatever it is.
And two guys,
You're
there were
ready. You
two
want
guys.
it hit to you.
Two guys made it tough for me. I mean, Mark McGuire, when he used to hold all with two hands, he would hook those balls down to me. Oh my God, about 100 miles an hour, and it bounced like 6 feet in front, and it just you have to, and almost made a donut out of me a couple times.
Yeah.
And then Larry Parrish with Texas, he would hit rockets at me when he's facing Guidry, and I would play way back because I know he's going to hit the ball down there. My gosh, so I get a lot of action with when we play those teams. Oh my God,
Yeah. And
but
you
it was
brought
fun.
up Yankee Stadium a couple of minutes ago. And looking back, like, at least my opinion, Yankee Stadium was one of my favorite places to ever play. I mean, Fenway was cool. I didn't play much at Wrigley, but I loved Friday night Yankee Stadium. Man, it was just hopping, right?
I never heard a crowd like that in my life. I mean, we,
Never.
we always had, in college, we had good crowds. In minor leagues, we had good crowds. But when I got to Yankee Stadium, and I'll never forget, the first home run I hit at Yankee Stadium, and it wasn't even filled, but I was running down the line, the ball went out of the park, and it felt like people were pushing me around the base. It's the weirdest, strangest feeling.
That's
It
exactly
was
right.
so loud. And then, another time we were playing a game against Toronto, and it was a packed stadium. It was like end of the year. We were fighting for the division lead, and Guidry was pitching. Well, Gator had his good stuff that day, and he struck out the first guy, the second guy, and the third guy. And I went running off the field, and the crowd was just going crazy. And then the next inning, second inning, struck out the fourth guy, the fifth guy, the sixth guy. It was like unbelievable. I never
Yeah.
heard a crowd that loud in my life.
Yeah, stuff
it
like
was
that.
really amazing.
Isn't that amazing how we remember that?
Yeah, the feeling. I mean, I running off the field, I had goosebumps on my arm.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
A lot like Minnesota in the World Series. So, similar.
I homered. I hit a home run in Yankee Stadium. I mean, in Anaheim Stadium on 4th of July, and I hit a home run, and there was 74,000 people at Anaheim Stadium, and it was the most quiet sound you've ever heard in your life. Because I was an enemy, and I grew up there, and they still were quiet. I remember standing in right field, and anybody listening to this that played right field will know what I'm talking about. You could stand looking into home plate, and right field was it felt like you were up on like a little bit of a knoll. It wasn't, but it was because the fans were so close. But
Yeah.
I would sit there, and you could see in the grass there was probably 500 pennies, and you could just see brown pennies everywhere in the grass. And it's like, you start off and there's not that many, and then by the 7th inning, man, it's like $20 out there, and by the 9th inning, it's just like, whoa. But I never got hit with anything. I never got hit with change. I'd go into the corner, and they'd be yelling, stuff, and it'd be just like, whoa. I mean,
It's not for everybody though. I mean, not everybody can play there at Yankee Stadium, and some guys just can't handle it. And it's
yeah,
that's how it is. I've been always able to handle that stuff. I mean, heck, in college, I mean, my first game as a freshman, we played Florida State, and I was telling someone this the other day, and we get introduced at their home opener in Tallahassee, and we got introduced, and then one guy said, "Hey, Pagliarulo, get back on the boat." Pagliarulo. I said, "It's Italian, not Cuban, you dumb redneck." And so all these people, my teammates go, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I said, "Screw him. Who the hell is he?" And
Right.
so that game, I got like 4 hits that game. And so every time I come across the plate, "Hey, redneck, one for you, another one for you."
Yeah, yeah.
All that stuff. So that stuff never bothered me, because
No.
they, I mean, hey, you make an error or something, you're gonna get booed. That's how it goes. If you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
handle that, too bad.
Yeah.
But my God, the support you get is incredible, and they can tell. I know from playing on the East Coast, they can tell when you're dogging it, when you don't hustle, when you don't run down the line, and when you don't play good, when you don't
Yeah.
try hard. Just try as best you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people appreciate that.
Yeah.
And they have.
I got to tell you, and this is a true story, and this is crazy, but I was in the hotel in the Grand Hyatt. I think that's where we stayed.
Yeah.
Our president's hotel, and I was sitting there, and we were getting ready to go to it. It was a day game, and it was kind of at the end of the season, and there was a guy that was always out in the stands, and I recognized his voice. I've heard him for years, and because I was standing next to Robin Yount, they never said anything about him. He was like the perfect child. It's like nobody would ever say anything bad about him. So they would pick on me or whoever was in left. But it was funny because I got a phone call, and you know how we used to put our names? We used to say, yeah, Charlie Brown. When you check into a hotel, you never put your name or whatever. So I get to the hotel, and my phone rings. I'm getting ready to go to the ballpark for a day game, and this guy calls me. I swear to God, it's the same voice, the same guy that'd been heckling me for years. And he says, "Mr. Deere, I just want to let you know that we sure enjoyed having, watching you play over the years. And this has never been serious stuff. And it's just all in fun and this and that." And I said, "I really appreciate that call." And I think he told me his name. If he's out there and he hears this, he'll know what he's talking. He'll know who I'm talking about, because he called my room, and I don't know how he got through to it, whatever. And then after that, I never, we never. I think I was done at my career. But it was so cool, just how that whole thing,
Yeah.
You
Well,
do
that's
it.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But that's how I think that's how they are basically.
I do too.
Sometimes you get a bad actor here and there, but most of the time you can deal with them people.
I was standing on third base in Yankee Stadium. Remember Durwood Merrill?
Oh yeah.
He was one of my
Oh yeah.
favorite umpires.
Me too.
This is no lie. This is probably the first or second year I was in the American League, and he walked over to me. And there was a pitching change, and I think you were at third. He walked over to me, and he says, "Look at this." And he lifted open his jacket. You know, they have the umpire jacket, and inside of it was a lawn dart. It was a lawn dart that was this long. It had like feathers on it, and somebody threw it from the upper deck, and it landed in between home and third, and
Oh
he
my God.
walked over and picked it up and stuck it in his jacket. It was a
I
lawn
didn't know
dart.
that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like,
Well,
really?
I
But
do remember some people coming on the field though. They try to come up to the players, and Morgana one time came on there, but I
yeah.
do other guys. I do other guys that would come on the field, and oh my God, those guys who came on the field, what a mistake that is coming on the field. Because they
Oh,
took
is that the
they took him
greatest?
down the runway in the dugout and beat the crap out of that guy,
Oh,
whoever
yeah.
it was.
That's
And that happened a bunch of times.
same thing
But
in
it was
Milwaukee. Same thing in
yeah.
Milwaukee, man. For some reason, they're all big, huge college football players and bouncers, and they don't care. They run out there in the 2-on-1, and it's just unbelievable. I've seen some people just get cremated.
What the heck are they thinking about anyways? I mean, come
Yeah.
on, just watch the
Yeah.
game. Maybe they
Yeah.
lost the bet or something. Who knows?
Yeah. It's a guy. I worry about the poor guy that has to run out there and tackle the guy that's running out there naked. It's like, how do you tackle? He's running out there in bikini underwear. It's like, I'm not getting close to that. They smash him pretty good usually,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh my God. But that's all good stuff, especially in a nice stadium like that. And it's great. And I miss that old stadium, Yankee Stadium. You
I
know,
do too. I haven't been to the new one, but I
the
sure
new
love
one's
the old Yankee
the new one's
Stadium.
good. The new one's nice. It's a little more commercialized than the old Yankee Stadium. You kind of you like the old stuff, the old time stuff, because it reminded you of those old guys that played there, and Mickey
Yeah.
Mantle and
The
Joe DiMaggio.
monuments.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, those guys were great, and it was great when we had Old Timers Day. They would always be around, and they treated you like family. It was the coolest thing in the world, to have a Joe DiMaggio or even Mickey, all those guys talk to you. It was really great.
Yeah. I got a chance to meet him. Frank Robinson, my rookie year in San Francisco, called me into the office. He was sitting in his office, and I could hear him saying, "Robbie, come here." And I didn't know what, I thought I was in trouble. I'd been up in the big leagues like a month. And I come walking into his office. This is in Candlestick. And he says, "I want you to meet somebody real quick." And I said, "Okay." And I came walking in, turned right. I looked, and I was just like, "What?" And it was Joe DiMaggio. He stood up, shook, and I'll never forget how perfect his fingernails, his hands, and he was the nicest man in the world. I kept thinking Marilyn Monroe and Mr. Coffee and like one of the greatest players of all time. But it was so cool to meet him. I thought the world of him, you
So I
know.
played in an Old Timers game at Yankee Stadium, and so Bill Madden was a writer for the Daily News, I think, at the time, and he went around asking everybody, what was your best day? What was your best day playing, as a Yankee? And so he came up to me and he asked me, and I said, well, for me that was easy. I said I come to the ballpark this one day, and it was like a Sunday or something, and I'd only been up like 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And so I pulled into the parking lot and I couldn't find my spot. And I'm like, what the heck? And someone's in my spot and it was packed. And I didn't realize it was Old Timers Day. And then I walked through the gates and on barricades on both sides, crowds of people, and they're all yelling, screaming. And I'm like, what are all these people doing here? And I'm thinking, did I miss the game? What the hell happened? And am I late? Because you never want to be
Yeah,
late. And so
I
I,
didn't know
I
it was
went
a
down.
day game.
So I went down through the tunnels and I opened the clubhouse doors, and I see this sea of pinstripes, all old timers, and all of them, all of them.
Oh,
I mean, you're talking about Bill White and Rizzuto and all these guys. And Yogi was there, and everybody.
oh,
Yogi was actually managing the club, but all the greatest Yankees, and they were all there. They were laughing and they were having the best time in their life. So my locker's in the back right corner, right? So I go in the back, I walk back there to it, and I'm excuse me, pardon me. They don't know who I am. And so I sit in my locker is Joe DiMaggio sitting in my locker, and he's got a suit and tie on. I mean, a classy guy, right? And
yeah.
and I go, I couldn't even talk really. I said, "Mr. DiMaggio, could I get a, oh, hey, Pegs, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh my God, he knows my name."
Yeah,
How's he
yeah.
know my name? He goes, "Hey, kid, how you doing? Nice to see you." And he goes, "I like the way you play. Keep up the good work." And I went, "Oh my God!" And I didn't know what to say. I said, "I just want to get a
Amazing.
couple. I just want to get my spikes out of here." So I get my shoes out, and everybody, all the noise was so loud, and then all of a sudden, the two doors open up again, and and everyone quiets down. Now, when Mickey Mantle walks into a room, it's like Jesus walked in the room.
Yeah.
So him and Billy Martin come walking in, and everything's quiet. And he points in my direction. He goes, "Hey, Billy, is that the kid over there?" And he points in my direction. And Donnie's locker was Mattingly's was right next to mine. I go, "Donnie, they must want you for something." He goes, "They ain't looking at me." And then now he was pointing at me, and so Joe DiMaggio looked at me. He goes, "Hey, what'd you do, kid?" I went, "Oh my God!" And so I start sweating like you can't believe. I must have been white as a ghost. Now here come Mickey Mantle and Billy Martin. I've never met
Yeah, it's
either one.
unbelievable.
And they start walking over to me, and here comes Mickey, and all these old timers are all looking at me with this strange look on their face. And he grabs me by the neck, he pulls me across the room into the training room, and start punching me. He said, "Hey kid, how you doing?" He's laughing his head off, and Billy's behind him laughing, and I'm blocking punches. I don't dare hit
Yeah.
him because I'm blocking punches like this. And he goes, "Hey, I like the way you play, kid. Hey, look, here's my number. I'm Mick. If you need anything, you just give me a call. Welcome to the family." And I went,
Isn't that great?
and then Billy goes, "I'm Billy. How you doing?" And I went, and I'm sitting in the training room all by myself. He's going, "What the hell just happened?" I
Yeah.
have no idea what happened. And so I leave there, and it's the funniest thing. After that, I mean, all those guys were really great people, and I became Moose Gowan and Hank Bauer's driver after that. To take them to the
Moose
games,
Gowan, I
taking them
remember
around.
him being around.
And so I told Bill Madden, I said, "Bill, I don't even know who we played that day or if I played." I said, "But that was my greatest day."
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
"By far." I
I
said,
gotta
"It
tell
was
you
a wonderful time."
I gotta tell you a crazy story. I think I was with Paulie Molidor and our clubhouse guy, Tony Meliaccio, but we were in New York, and I used to go into Mickey Mantle's restaurant,
Yeah.
and like I would get in a cab and I'd go straight over there 3 days in a row, and I'd eat every single day. And I'd do it sometimes by myself, but sometimes I'd bring somebody with me. Well, I went in there one time and I bought an oil painting of Mickey Mantle in that restaurant. And when I was in there was three of us in there. This guy walks up to me and started talking to us, and I was like blown away. And it was our president, Donald Trump, came walking up to us and asked us to sit down, and we were kind of like hanging out. And he says, "Well, we're going to have a celebrity softball game back at Yankee Stadium, and we'd like to have you guys come and just kind of hang out." And we were like, "Well, we got to go back to the hotel." He was offering for us to get in his limo to go to the ballpark, and we said we'd love to go, but we have to go back and get all our stuff. So we went back and we went to the ballpark early. I was sitting in the dugout, met Jane Fonda and like tons of people. And it was right there. We sat there and watched the softball game, and then we played at night. So it was really cool. There's always something happening there, right?
Yeah, all the time. All
Yeah.
kinds of celebrities, they show up at the stadium usually on the day games or something like that, and we meet them all, meet and greet. It was good, pretty
Yeah.
popular, and I met Trump there as well. And he would go.
So
I'd see him at the playoff games. Yep, when I was done playing, he would show up at the playoff games, and he was always a big sports fan, baseball player too.
he was a great guy. I mean, he was so friendly and like he was accommodating to us. And I was just like, wow, this is really cool. But I'll never
Yeah.
forget that. It was a special time. Talk to me about your time after you went in the Yankees. I think you went to San Diego.
Yep.
You were in Texas.
I was traded to San Diego in '89, and played there for a year and a half with some great players. And what a
You
beautiful
with
place, San
Jack
Diego.
Clark?
Jack was on the team. I played
I
with
knew.
Jack in '88 with the Yankees, and then in '89 and '90 with San Diego. And Eve, what a great guy he is.
Oh, one of
Um,
my favorites.
yeah, and tremendous teammate, and I wouldn't want to piss him off. I'll tell you that. He's an amazing, strong guy.
And I'll tell you what, something about Jack Clark, he comes to play and he comes to play to win.
Oh yeah,
He
oh
like
yeah.
there's nothing on his mind other than wanting to win.
Yeah,
You know?
we were sitting on a bench one time, and Bruce Crumming was he was umpiring first base, and so Jack was at the plate, and and so he struck out. He got called out. He wasn't happy with the pitch selection. He dropped his helmet and everything at the plate. They threw him out of the game, and he comes over and he sits next to me. He said, "Jack, you're out of the game." Jack said, he looks at me, he goes, "I'm not leaving." And he said, "Jack, you need to leave. Get up." He goes, "I ain't leaving." So Bruce Crumming goes, "Pat, get him out of here." Look at he get him out of here. So, and so it took a while, but Jack finally left. But he was one of my best teammates. He was really
Yeah.
a great guy. So
Yeah,
we played. we played there, and we played there in City. It was a beautiful place to play. I mean, now it's even better. We played at the
Yeah.
old Jack Murphy Stadium, but now it's like incredible. Right
At both parts.
downtown there. I mean, it couldn't be a better place to play.
Yeah.
Um, so we played there. But after I left there, it was in '90, and so I went to the winter meetings by myself, and it was like I just wanted to get some better coaches and other people around me. I had always had good teammates, but I just didn't feel like in San Diego at that time they had the staff there that I like to be watched. I want someone on you every day and
Yeah.
you're challenging it almost. And
Yeah.
so I went there to talk to a couple of managers, guys that I respected like Pinella and Tony La Russa and Tom Kelly. And even though I didn't know Tom Kelly or La Russa either, I went and talked to him, and he said, "What are you doing here?" And TK says to me, and he was there with Terry Crowley, who was the new hitting coach they had, and I said, I just want to I want to get the right people around me, and because I want to play, and I got plenty of game left, and all this other stuff,
Sure.
and so he said, "Oh, interesting." I said, "Maybe we'll be in touch," and then I left there, and about 3 weeks later, I got a phone call. "Hey, you want to come play in Minnesota?" I said, "Yeah." They traded Gaetti to the Angels, and so that was in 1991, and
Yeah.
it ended up. And I had no idea they finished in last place the year before, but it was a good team they put together. Got a couple good free agents, and we had a really good club. We had a really good team, actually.
You
More than anything.
definitely did. I mean, we played you guys a lot it, in
Yeah,
Milwaukee, but it was just like, man, that club was. And Danny would tell me inside stuff and how this was going on, and then you got Chili, and you got all this stuff, and you guys had all the right, like you had the right Kirby Puckett, Jack Morris pitching the 12 innings, like all that stuff is remarkable.
teams have to complement each other, you have to have a manager who knows how to set a lineup up, but he also he has to know how to manage the end of the game as well. And so that's what Tom Kelly was good at. He very much like, believe it or not, a lot like Billy Martin. Billy Martin was great too, and but he didn't yell as much as Billy, although he would pull you aside and do it privately.
Yeah,
But BK, he didn't miss a trick. He could see the field. The good managers. I was fortunate. I played for like 5 managers that managed World Series champions. It'd be Lou Piniella and actually and Dallas Green, Jack McKeon, and Billy and Tom Kelly. I mean, these guys were they had learned so much and so much knowledge that
yeah,
you couldn't help but learn from them. And I feel that the good managers, they see the field better than everybody else. It's almost like, the ball will get on that line and they know what we're happening down that end of the field. They could tell they could anticipate better than everybody else. And so, and you would see little things,
right.
and you learn from that stuff. And so you learn a lot from those managers, and Tom Kelly was great. And, I was lucky to play for him for about 3 years, and it was really good. Had a nice time there. And, we were very competitive, and I felt like even when we won, we didn't necessarily have the best players, but we had the best team. And you have to
Yeah,
play together to play as a team, because the teams win. You have to work out there together. I mean, we didn't drop any fly balls, nothing fell in. We all knew where each other were playing, and we could anticipate. So,
yeah.
and we were always prepared. And that's one thing that I think the coaching staff did there. They helped prepare us real good for every game, and every series. So,
Yeah.
and
You
we
know,
were
and
always ready to go in. You
yeah,
know.
and I would hear stuff Danny Gladden would share with me back then about certain things, and he would always say the same thing about that team and those years, how everybody played together and you guys all had each other's backs and all the stuff. It just seemed like it was really the good chemistry, you know.
Yeah, I think that takes a common vision or a common goal. Everybody's going to be different. There's going to be disagreements. Not everybody's going to mix. But if you have the same vision, the same goal, the same thing that you want to get accomplished, that everybody will come together some way somehow. And
Right.
that's exactly what happened. And so that's a tough thing to get. It's a tough thing to design or develop on a team, because you need to have that. Because if you don't have that, what the heck are you playing for? Are you playing for your numbers or something, or your salary? Come on. That's not any
Yeah.
fun. I
Yeah.
mean, you play to win the World Series. That's what you're playing for. Every year in spring training, the very first day, that's what you're there for, is to win the World Series, not to play to finish. I want to finish in fifth place today. I
It
don't think
had
so.
nothing to do with money. It had
No,
nothing to do with money. Like
no.
none of us, I mean, it was just like we got paid, okay, but like winning was everything.
Yeah. I wouldn't allow, and when I was coaching, I was fortunate enough to coach. I wouldn't allow any talk about any of that stuff in the cages. Nobody would
No,
ever talk about money or salaries or anything like that. That's not part of this game today, and it's
no,
not. It's
no.
not part of the game.
I
So
got
yeah,
I was disappointed when I was coaching. Now I was coaching a few years back for the Cubs. It was weird for me to see the transition of what has happened from when we played till now, and seeing people like I would kind of just get notes of things that were happening, and I would notice that there were 3 or 4 guys every day in that clubhouse after a game that wouldn't shower. They just got dressed and left. Like it was like they're afraid to be in the clubhouse. And that is the most important time. In my opinion, like you go out, you stick around in the clubhouse no matter what, because that's when you're going to learn the most important stuff from all the people that are going to ready to teach you. Right. But I never could figure out. And then, they'd be walking out and their wives are there and like, let's hurry up and leave the ballpark. Like, well, I didn't shower, so we got to go home. And it's weird to me. Like, that's
yeah.
just part of it.
Especially
Snapping somebody or doing something,
especially on
it's
the
like,
road.
yeah.
Especially when you're on the road.
I mean,
I mean,
some of the greatest stuff happens inside of a locker room. I've always played on teams that was, the game's over with. Now it's time we either sit around and talk about what we did wrong or celebrate what we did right, you
yeah.
know. But
It,
it's
and I was
changed.
in
I mean, it's,
when I was in Baltimore. So it was in Minnesota. I played most, I think, up until August, and then I was traded to Baltimore. They were in the race in 1993, and so after the game, I played next to Cal, and Cal played a shallow shortstop, and I played kind of in at third base, and so we talk about that. And I swear, after the game, we go in there and talk about defense for about an hour and a half. Just
yeah,
Jim and I was sitting there talking about defense and angles and how how you play and why you play in sometimes, and you're playing to the right and how you go for the ball to this side or that side so we don't collide or whatever. And I mean, that was great discussions that we had, and it was kind of a refresher, but also it reinforced what you're doing was right, and it was right because we played good together, and
yeah.
and I really I'm thankful that I was able to do that, and coming up, I always wanted to be with one team. I always want to be in the Yankees, and even though everyone thinks I was a Yankee my whole career, I wanted to just stay with one team, but then I was traded and I went to a couple different teams, and that was really great for me, and I didn't realize how many other good people there are in the game, and how many other good players there are, so many good thoughts, what I mean, and different approaches that were all positive stuff, and it was really good learning experience for me being with different organizations, good and bad, but but it was all good at the end.
Yeah.
To learn about different guys and different ways to play. Because I was very lucky to play with so many good players and
Isn't
Hall of
that
Famers and all this stuff.
yeah, isn't it true? And you know what, Pags? We started. Like a year or so ahead of me, but we played at a certain amount of time. We both played for several different teams. We both were. You're like, I think you're a few months older than me, although I look way older than you. So something got screwed up there. But it's like our comparisons are a lot alike, and it's kind of cool. I didn't really know that until I started looking at doing my podcast research. You
Ah,
know,
I miss those
sharing
guys.
stories.
I miss a lot of those guys. I think about them all the time. I drive
Yeah,
up and down
isn't
the East Coast and on the long drives. I mean, I would be laughing all by myself.
yeah,
Certain at
yeah,
bats that we had, or certain at bats the players would have, or different things or stories guys would say, and all positive stuff, and it was all fun and a great experience that not many people get a chance to have. And I certainly I think it was great for me to be able to go through that, and I'm appreciative of all the opportunities that I've had. My dad would tell me, he said, "Look, at the end of each game, you don't have to be sorry for anything, unless you make a mental error or something." He said, "You hang your head up." He said, "Just leave it on the field, and you'll be all right. At the end of the day, everything will be all right." And that's really the coolest thing about it, because you play with different personalities, different people. Things aren't going to go good all the time. There's going to be some bad games. There's going to be some great games and all that stuff. But most of the time, if you just play and play as good as you can play and you hang your head up, all is good.
yeah,
All is good. And
yeah.
that's you won't have any regrets. And honestly, I really don't.
No,
have any regrets, you
no,
know?
I really don't have any regrets. You know,
And that
I wish one thing, I wish I would've used a smaller bat because I got vulnerable. I got vulnerable at swinging that 35 and a half, 33 and a half, and it made me susceptible to breaking balls and the whole thing. But like my career and how I played and what I did, and like I made mistakes along the way, but that's always helped me to be better down the road. And it's like, you know, the camaraderie, the closeness of a locker room, and when you have, I was the same way. I played on teams. Everybody got along. Everybody, there was chemistry. You talk about Milwaukee and Detroit with Cecil, and you just saw him last week, and you walked up, tell him what, because you were
I said,
with
"Hey,
him.
Big
You
Sessy, how's it going?" He goes, "Tell Robbie I said hello."
you saw him last week, and Pags walked up and said, "Hey, Big Sessy," and he knew exactly. So that's good. But things like
So
that, those mean a lot to us. You
and
know.
not just here too, because, at the end of '93, Roland Heeman, the GM for the Orioles, said, "Hey, you played great. You know, I had a good year." He goes, "We're gonna give you a 2-year contract." I said, "Great, I'll sign it." He goes, "You don't even know how much it's for." I said, "That's all right. I never had a 2-year contract. I'll sign it." He goes "Well, wait a minute. You can't do that." He goes, "We gotta hold on a minute." And just at that time, Angelos bought the team, and so they put a freeze on all the contracts, and I had that offer from Japan come in, and so I said, "Well, I gotta. This is gonna help really put my kids through college,
Right.
so I'll do that." And then I didn't realize you were going there. I didn't realize Danny was going there, Braggs was going there, and a few other guys. I'm like, "What the heck?" When I got there, I finally realized all the guys had been there. It was great.
Yeah.
That was a really good experience too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
It's a great place. You know, if things don't work out here, or after you get done playing, you want to play some more, whatever. It's great opportunity.
Yeah, I got to play, well, and you did too, against Ichiro. He was a rookie, and
Hmm.
Matsui was a rookie that year.
Yep.
And what was cool is I was able to coach Ichiro when I was at Miami
Really?
as
Oh,
a
that's
hitting
right. You were
coach.
the hitting coach.
Yeah, and he was great, And he goes, "I remember you. I remember you." And I said, "I remember you too."
Yeah. Yeah. Right. There's
Yeah,
Nomo. Remember Nomo?
Dale Nomo. Yeah, he played for Kentetsu Buffaloes.
I faced him in Japan.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
Phew. But
he was
I
tough.
faced him in like a exhibition game over there because he was in a different league. Because I played for Hanshin. I was like the Pacific League or something. But I don't,
Yep. I faced him a lot. He had that good forkball he had, boy. He
oof,
was tough. And had
yeah,
that crazy motion and everything. And
yeah.
his teammate was Ralph Bryant. Ralph Bryant, who I played with in Dominican when I played winter ball. So there was a lot of guys I knew over there, and
Uh,
it was a really good experience. Put my kid in school over there.
yep,
He went to school there in the first grade or something. So it ended up being good. Now when I came back. All the staff in Baltimore, they all got released. I guess went to Texas. So I had my last year. I played in Texas. They called me up and said, "Come play over here." And I said, "All right."
what year
And that
was
was
that?
good too. That was in '95,
Okay,
and Johnny Oates was the manager of Texas, and
I remember.
yeah, and the other
Caminetti wasn't there, was he?
who?
Cammy?
No,
Because he went to Texas for a year, like right at the end too. And I was wondering,
yeah, it was right after they get the new ballpark. They put
mm,
the new ballpark in, and uh, and so I mean, Will Clark, Mickey Tettleton, good buddies. I mean, those guys are
oh
great.
yeah,
Bobby Witt and a bunch of other guys, man. We had some good players. Pudge Rodriguez was playing there. We had some good players there, and
that was a
you know,
fun place to hit in.
yeah, yeah, fun place to
I
play.
always liked playing in Texas because the wind was blowing out and it was always hot. It
Yep.
made for fun, unless you had
Ball
to
fly,
face Noli.
ball fly. I know. Well, Noli wasn't on that team. I never played with him. I just
Yeah.
faced him. I just faced him once in a while when we played Texas. But and then when he was at Texas the second time, I think faced him again when I was in Baltimore. So I faced him quite a bit.
Yeah.
He never threw at me though. So
He threw at me.
although 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 the last time I faced him was his last year. It was his second to last start. and it was the first inning, and I hit a grand slam off him, and so I made sure I ran around the bases. I almost caught the guy in front of me. So,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
in the he was warming up in the third inning, and as he's warming up, he pulled something in the side. I'm like, "Ooh, I guess I escaped that one here."
Yeah. Yeah, he went he threw a first pitch at me in Houston, my very first at bat off of him. And I grew up in Anaheim. So I was a kid going to Anaheim Stadium constantly. And then
Ugh.
he's pitching against me. And the very first pitch, Mike Kruka was in the dugout and he said he's gonna airmail you just to show you, that he knows this, that, and the other. So I said, okay. So I walk up there and lo and behold, man, first pitch, I felt it go across the tip of my nose. And then after that, the one ball, that same at bat, I hit a rocket one hopper to Camaraderie, backhands it, throws it over his shoulder backwards. Umpire gets it. I'm safe. There's no way they're calling me out. You're out. So I was like, so there was my one hit off Nolan Ryan. I think I'm 0 for 19 or something like that off him. I don't know if I fouled some balls back, but I think that's about it. He
I didn't
pretty
think
much,
Noli would do. I didn't think Noli would do today with the guys throwing their bats up in the air and everything. Oh my God!
oh,
I don't think he'd finish the season.
yeah, there's a certain amount of respect, man. I would walk in there like real gingerly. I'd put my foot in the dirt. I wouldn't even twist it. I just kind of like sit it there. But it was all
In a
respect. I mean, I still to this day he's my favorite pitcher.
in,
But I
in a
did.
way that some of that stuff is missing, that respect, in the
Oh
game. I
yeah,
mean, look, the guy's out there doing his best. He's not showing you up when he strikes out, really, most of the time. I mean,
right.
there's once in a while a guy will do that, but there's ways to pay back guys, and you got to show some respect. I mean, you have to do that. That's just part of the game,
Yeah,
right? And if you don't, well, then you're doing something wrong, and then that the game usually corrects itself when they hey, you get one up here, or just knock you down or something like that. If they want to hit you, they'll hit you in the side. If they want to
yeah,
hit you,
yeah,
up here they don't want to hit you in the head. Nobody wants to hit you in the head. Although I got hit in the head a few times, but
yeah. I did
it was
too.
not on purpose, you
Yeah,
know.
but
But I only
it.
remember one time. Only one time I was one guy was throwing at me, but it was after I hit a home run or something, and he just hit me in the side, and we were playing Toronto. I think Henton hit me or something, but it was no big deal. I mean, hey, I'll trade a ball off the hip for a home run anytime.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
trade that.
yeah.
So
Well,
no big deal.
yeah. I got thrown at. I got thrown at in consecutive years by Blyleven got me in Detroit, and then who was the closer? Reardon. Reardon smoked me the next year and got me in the same exact spot. Cracked my wrist twice.
Oh no.
Yeah, but that was, and then the one, I it was like he threw it and he kept throwing me breaking balls. He threw me a fastball up and in, so I was like getting out of the way, and it was so bad that the ball hit my hand, broke my bone in my hand, and I like check swung, dropped the bat, I fell down. The umpire says strike three. So I had a broken wrist and I got called out for striking out. I was just like, what could be worse? But
That's a bad at bat right there.
isn't it?
There
Like,
used to be a lot more of that beanball stuff. I mean, when I first came up, we had it was my first year, and they hit Bobby Meacham in the head, and so of course the next guy for them was going to get thrown at, so they throw behind Beniquez, and he comes out to the mound, and so Donnie and I are right there, and it was about a 15-20 minute fight, and it
oh yeah.
lasted a long time,
Was that the
but
one Strawberry went in and smoked somebody?
no, we
Oh,
had big boy. We had Don Baylor on the team. Don Baylor was one of the best teammates I ever had, and Dave Winfield. I mean, when he's holding up Doug the Sensei, Bobby Grits like they were rag dolls.
oh
I mean,
yeah.
oh my god, So and those guys, we beat him up pretty good, but it was just part of the game. It was nothing, no
No,
grudges held afterwards. It's just like, hey, look, you come out to the mound, don't ever come out to the mound. I never charged the mound. There's 9 guys out there with steel on their shoes. They're gonna rip me up if I do that. There's other ways to
right,
give guys back. You
right.
know, you can tag guys a certain way, and you can do certain things to get even. But I mean, there's no sense in charging a mound. You
No.
get killed.
You
you
know,
know,
a funny story going back to Jack Clark. We were in Boston. We were playing a day game in Fenway. Clemens is on the mound. Jack's playing first, and Jack was one of those guys. and you know this because he was your teammate, but he looked out for me when I was young. Like he always looked out for me. Jack Clark was a great person for me as a young player. You know, he talked to me about certain things, and I really liked him. So when after we played, we were playing for a few years. You know, Jack got into racing, and then like he'd come into Milwaukee, and he'd send over like drag racing T-shirts from his race team. But we got in a fight. Inky was hitting before me in Boston. Inky hit a home run off of Clemens, and then I went up there, and the next at bat, I was right after Inky, and bam, I hit one off of him, and then T-Bone Shelby walked up there, and Clemens threw it right in the middle of his back. And what had happened is because I've been friends with Jack, and he was such a good guy to me, I ran over to him because the bench is cleared, right? Andy Allenson and some other people, and it was just, and we were all standing, and Clemens was on the mound, and he was like, I didn't do it on purpose, right? And so I went over to behind Jack, and I grabbed Jack around his shoulder, and I go, Jack, don't move. It's me. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to keep you out of problems. So it's like, so I want to get him on here because he'd be fun.
Oh yeah, you get some great stories, I'm sure.
Yeah, but he was great as a young player. I really looked up to him.
Yeah.
You
When I
know,
played in San Diego, the family went home. He said, "Hey, why don't you come and stay at my place?" He had a mansion he was renting out there across
yeah,
from the Crocs house or something. I don't know. And he goes, "Yeah,
yeah.
you need a car here." He gave me his
Oh yeah,
two-seater
yeah,
Mercedes. Two-seater Mercedes. You take this. We drive up to L.A., play the Dodgers, and come back. And I was
yeah.
like, "Okay, sure." You know, he was a lot of fun. You know, and a good guy. One time we were in playing Montreal at the time, and he said, "All right, listen." He said, "We're gonna get me, you, and my parent. We're gonna go get some. We're gonna buy some motorcycles." He goes, "I'm gonna have them shipped to we're gonna, 3 motorcycles, and I'm gonna have them shipped to Shea Stadium, and then we're gonna drive them after that because we're gonna play Montreal, the Mets, and the Phillies." He said, and then after the game in Shea Stadium, we're gonna drive down to the Phillies and play them. We're gonna take the motorcycles down." I said, "Jack, I don't drive a motorcycle. What do you mean?" He goes, "I'll teach you in the parking lot. Don't worry about it." Get fat boys out there.
I want to wrap this up. We've been keeping you here a while, but I got 2 questions for you. What was your number 1 favorite homer?
Oh, the number one favorite homer had to be in Toronto in extra innings when we were to get into the World Series. You know, we did 1 game apiece in on that night game in Toronto. I hit an extra inning home run of Mike Timlin, and Toronto had a great team, really great players
Oh
and
yeah,
everything, and they were stacked. And I think after that game, the next couple days, we just outplayed them. It was almost like they would down after that. So that would probably be the best home run that I hit, and that was really exciting and a great place to be. It was a lot of fun.
your teammate said to me, ask him his favorite home run, and I guarantee you he'll say this one, and you did. So, but Danny said that catapulted you guys into probably winning the World Series. That and the everything that had happened, plus your defense and all that. That's a
Yeah,
cool
it was
story.
great. It was a lot of fun, and it was if there's any kind of momentum change, I think that was certainly it helped the momentum, and everyone played with confidence, and everyone was ready to play. Even when you weren't in the
Yeah,
lineup, you were ready to go in and play. And
yeah,
that
yeah.
game, I didn't start that game, but I was in the back. I was on the tee every inning, so
Oh
just getting
yeah,
ready for
yeah,
my chance. And
yeah.
and
That's
I
great
had it
stuff.
and made the most of it. It was great. It was a great thrill, and a cool thing too. My both my parents were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's so
it's not
cool.
far. It's not far from Boston, and so they came up to see that. It was great.
Yeah, that's so cool. Let me ask you another question. I ask guys, what do you miss most about playing in our days?
Well, I missed what I missed most. I mean, personally, me, I love getting ready to play. Preparing to play. Getting ready for the game. It was almost like
Yeah,
putting on my armor that day when I get dressed, and
ritual.
getting ready and getting my head right and focusing on the game. And it wasn't a tense feeling. It was just like a almost ready for anything that day, and
Yep.
there was no fear in your mind. It was all positive energy, and I guess preparing to play was one of the things I missed most. And of course, the other thing is the guys on the teams that I played with.
Yeah.
I miss those guys in the being around them, because you have each other's back no matter what.
Yep.
Whether it's on defense or base running or anything. If you're on base and you get a bad jump or something, you get guys on the bench questioning you, what happened there? Didn't you get, or they try to help you out, look for this. And then when the pitcher does this, you can get an extra step or two, and there was a lot
Yeah.
of that stuff going on all the time,
Yeah.
with your teammates. And with that kind of camaraderie, it's more than just being friends. It's you guys are battling together, and that goes a long way. And that's why I believe that bond is so tight and it's long lasting. I mean, I have friends that I can call. I talked to Chili Davis. I mean, if I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, I pick up the phone. It's like I was talking to him yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what we've been saying. It's kind of like with Sess. I didn't talk to him for a couple years, and man, it's like I get him on the phone, or Mickey Tettleton or some of the guys. It just it doesn't. There's no lapsed. There's no time lapsed. It's just like you just saw him 3 days ago.
Right,
It's like
right,
that's what's great about it. I
yeah.
guess that's because we know each other so well. You're with each other every single day, minute.
Yeah,
But
and you
it's
go through the same kind of pressure and battle that you have to deal with every day. Everyone's trying to succeed, and you got everybody pulling for you. And really, although you're up there
oh,
by
exactly.
yourself, on a good team, I felt like I had a bunch of other base runners out there with me, or I was up at the plate with a bunch of other guys watching me.
Yeah.
My teammates watching me, and that was helpful. And so you when you get that support, you kind of give that support, and that's a
So
great way to
true. Well
play.
said. Yeah.
It's a great way to enjoy the game too, and when you're that passionate about it, because at that level, everybody's passionate about it,
Mhm.
and you talk about little things, and then of course you have your fun and stuff like that. But I mean, when it's game time, and the game is on, it's really intense. But it's a real good focus, and after the game is over, basically you're exhausted. And sometimes it's not from fatigue, but it's just from thinking about so much. It's almost like you relax, and that's when it becomes fun too, because you get to share a lot of that stuff and some of those stories and the silly things and the good things and even the bad things. So, it's all
All
part
of
of
that's
life.
well said. You're exactly right. I agree with you 100%. I wanna just share something that's kinda cool, but I've thought about this, and I share this every once in a while, but I remember those days going into Yankee Stadium, and I remember the feeling of what it felt like and just the atmosphere, and it was like, bat night, and they're beating the bats on the concrete, but I thought of the first 4 or 5. If we say 5 players, it's probably me and you. But first four first 4 players back in the day when you and I played, your side would be Ricky Henderson, Willie Randolph, Don Mattingly, who was phenomenal, um, Dave Winfield, and probably you or whatever, right? On our side, our 4 walking up to the first to take the first 4 at bats: Paul Molitor, Jim Gantner, Robin Yount, Dave Parker, then probably me. But it's like, I mean, that was baseball, man. There's some people on in those 2 deals that could flat out play, and it was fun,
Oh,
right?
that was a good battle, and the battle itself was exciting. You know what I mean? I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
I do
And
too. I do it all the time. Like thinking about Toronto, going into Toronto, playing them. Oh my God, Lloyd Mosby and George Bell and Timlin. I mean, I faced him a lot. Um,
yeah, great
yeah, all
players.
those teams. That was
Yeah.
that was so much fun.
It
You
it
know.
was fun, and with Molitor and Yount, I swear to God, those are the 2 best base runners I've ever seen in my life, besides Ricky
Oh,
Henderson. You put your
they
head
could
down, and they'll
flop.
they'll take that base. They were
Oh
unbelievable,
yeah.
you
Oh
know?
yeah.
And they could hit like crazy. Oh my, these 2 guys coming up again, oh my god.
They
It's like, how are
never
we
had a
gonna stop
dry
these?
spell. They never had a dry spell. A
Didn't
one for
seem like it.
four was like a 1 for 4 was like 1 for 4 for me. I was like, ah, this is perfect, right? They're like 2 for 4, they're 2 for 5, they're 3 for 3, they're 4. It's just they every year they're hitting. It just never changed.
And then
You
when
know, they
but
go that
when
way and that way and that way and that way. It's
when they got on
amazing.
base, it was even worse because now they
Oh,
great base runners. You know,
yeah,
they
Paulie.
could steal. You drop your head. You know, you bobble the ball. They were on the next base. It's like you
Yeah,
cannot make mistakes with those guys out there. It was
no,
so tough to play, but it was a great. It
no,
was a great battle, which made it so much fun, though. You know,
right?
at
That's
the
what
end
it
of the
was all
day,
about.
at the end
Like,
of the
those are
day,
the
it was
things.
always like what a great battle.
Yeah, those are the things I remember most is
Yeah.
those games that was just super intense and everybody was trying and like that to do everything you possibly can to win a game and all 25 guys feel the same way. That's
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah.
That's what you like,
Tough to
you know.
forget.
It's you will never forget it.
That's
We'll
right.
never forget it. Hey, we got to cut this off, but I just want to let you know, man, I really appreciate you being here and anytime you want, come back. Anytime we'll talk about something else or talk about anything, you know. But I always tell that to everybody, you know, just anything breaks out and you got something new or you want to talk about or whatever, let me know. We'll get you on because
It,
I really enjoyed having you on.
it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And good luck with the show, man. I think you're doing a great job. It's a great concept. I love it.